Our second portfolio review with design buddies. Make sure you grab some snacks, tea, coffee, or water, and cozy up. Feel free to connect with the other buddies that we have in chat. Again, it's event live chat. Um, and make sure that you follow us in all social media platforms. We have tons of events and amazing content for you. So, yeah, before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who submitted their portfolios. So, here's the format of our event today. Um, we have 4 portfolios chosen to be reviewed. If your portfolio is one of them, feel free to introduce yourself and talk about the feedback that you are looking for in this session. You can either unmute yourself or write down in chat. Write it down in chat and I'll read it for everyone. Yeah, let's get started. So for this portfolio review, we have 3 reviewers, and I would like to welcome them to the stage and introduce themselves. I guess we have Ruth.
Yeah, Ruth, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and give a brief intro.
Okay, sweet. I wasn't able to. Hi, my name is Ruth. I'm really excited to be here. I'm a product designer currently at a company called Skillz. We're an esports head-to-head mobile gaming competition platform. I've been there for about 2 years now and built a ton of features and shipped a lot. And so I'm really excited to be here giving feedback. I interview a lot of people to bring onto my team. And I even did a portfolio review about a couple hours ago. So I would love to kind of give you feedback based on the things that we look for when we're interviewing people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Second, we have Tarrea.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Tarrea. I'm a UI designer at a design agency called Left Field Labs, and we work closely with our client, Google. So I do a lot of UI design work for Google. I've been working there for about 3-ish months now, but I have previous experience looking over portfolios with designers who are looking for feedback. So I'm really excited to be here and give some feedback to you guys.
So thank you so much. Lastly, we have Jack.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jack. I'm a content lead here at Design Buddies as well as an admin. I'm really excited for this session. The last one was great. I don't know how many of you all got to join last time, but it's awesome to see. Geez, there are so many of you in this voice chat. That's really cool. I'm also an incoming grad student at CCA for their interaction design program, and I've written an article on standing out with your case studies where I kind of talked with various successful designers about certain things you can do to help stand up or stand out from the crowd with your portfolio. I just linked that in the chat. And Ruth is actually one of those awesome designers that shared her input in that article as well. So definitely check that out.
It's a great article. I would read it.
Thanks, Ruth.
All right, so let's get started. So here is the first portfolio that we are looking at. Okay. I can't pronounce your name. So if you're in chat right now, please unmute yourself or write in chat what feedback you're looking for. I'm gonna try to say your name. It's Jirong.
Okay, and if Jirong isn't here, let's just go down the list. I know Bobby's here, so maybe we can start with Bobby, and Jirong might join later, because it'd be great to hear what particular feedback someone's looking for.
Sure. I'll these. Oh, yeah. Bobby, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about feedback that you want, please know. Oh, can't unmute.
Let me find you in the chat.
Okay.
There we
Okay.
go.
All right. Hey, I'm Bobby, and this is, I guess, the first. I just created this case study. So I guess general feedback and where you think I can improve, of course. I guess like design-wise and yeah. So
Yep.
Cool. Do you want to walk us through the project? I'm not entirely sure the format, but I guess it'd probably be helpful in the context of an interview. You'd be, talking through this and sharing it. So that would be great if you wanted to walk through it.
okay, I guess we can start down with the top case study here for Georgia soccer. Do you want me to talk through this here?
Yeah, got it. So yeah, I guess
Just give us.
the first
Yeah,
feedback
sure.
actually, which is so like if you're sharing this work, you would come in and you would basically just tell your story, and then people will ask intermittent questions along the way. But feel free to lead and drive this and highlight whatever relevant information here, and then we can give you feedback about the storytelling as well as what additional info might be useful to have here.
Okay. All right. And for this, I did it for the organization Georgia Soccer. They are, I guess, like the U.S. soccer, but for Georgia. They basically, I guess, are do the administration sort of things for the soccer, for most of the soccer teams in Georgia. So, and they had been getting user complaints about their navigation menu and stuff like that. And the users, of course, are the players, parents, and coaches and refs. So many different kinds of user groups that they have. Then for me, I was, I guess, the lead UX researcher and also a UX designer for this. And there's 3 other team members who are the UX and UI designers. And this was over a month. And it was entirely remote, and we all had about at least 40 hours of work for the project. And I started using with the Google Analytics to, I guess, get a sense as to what parts of the site or what, like their mobile and like if there was any problems with that. And they had a relatively high bounce rate. Then we did a comparative heuristic analysis. I chose to do it on USA Hockey because it has a similar kind of structure for the organization. Well, they have players and parents and coaches and referees, and also what's of administration stuff. And I like their use of icons, and they had a lot more pictures of people than the Georgia Soccer site. And so we did a screener survey to get participants for interviews to see what their problems are with the site. And it was sent from a mail list from Georgia. For the interviews, we only talked to 3 people, and those 3 people, they generally had problems with the login stuff for the third-party tools, which we ended up talking to the Georgia Soccer people about that, and they ended up having to just toggle a radio button that solved most of their problems with their third-party tools. It was a main problem. I guess we created a persona for a parent because that was the only kind of people we recruited for the interviews because we ran out of time. And we did a little user journey map based on the survey answers in the interview. And then for the design, because I did most of the stuff on the research, took a little bit of a step back, but I still helped out somewhat. The sketches I was thinking of how would you make the navigation make a lot more sense, be easier to read right away. I ended up deciding to go with where the like groups are, but they're spaced out from each other because the original website very close together. They're all just in a straight line, and I just everything blurs together. And we attempted to reorganize their navigation because it had some issues and other things were duplicates of each other and not really clear as to what was going where. And I had a wireframe as to a possible way to lay out the navigation of their homepage. And down here is the wireframes that our group created, combining everybody's different ideas and stuff to present to them, I guess. And for the lessons and outcomes, I guess it was that time is short to, I guess, that you got to get the research done and you got to try to find ways to cut the amount of time and not have as much time waiting around for it to come back. And they haven't really implemented anything else. None of our suggestions, they're still getting other people's design input, and also they're going to be hiring a dev team to make changes. So
Awesome. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I love that you highlight your role at the top of this case study in particular. It would be great. I think it looks like you do some great research here. I think one thing that just stuck out to me instantly would to be really to highlight your results and your metrics from your research and how this kind of drove your guys' design decisions. As I just kind of scroll through it, I'm not really reading through it, but it would be great to be able to have that work, especially what you did individually, highlighted in a scannable way so I can quickly see your contribution and how that influenced how you guys all collaborated together.
okay, yeah, I guess like building some words and stuff to make it stand out, so people can quickly just read it right away or
Yeah,
quotes
and
or something.
even if, and potentially there's a way with your metrics as well, to make it a bit more visually interesting. Maybe some kind of data visualization could be helpful there, especially for your survey results. That might be something that you could consider.
Okay.
Hi, this is Ruth. I think this is awesome and super in-depth. Thank you so much for talking through everything. Kind of building off of what Jack said, but a little bit more kind of, I guess, as somebody who's even just now scrolling through it, but in general, looking at your portfolio, I would try to simplify the amount of information you have in each of these sections. Some of these are like long paragraphs. And I think it's critical when you're showing any kind of work to tell the best story in as few words as possible. So really identify like what is the most important information here. Just have that. Because as somebody who's scrolling, I'm not going to be reading all of this. But obviously there's something you want me to take away. So I would just, pare things down. And then building off of that, one thing that's also important is to, from the very beginning, call out like what were the KPIs, which means the key performance indicators that you're looking for. So for example, if you are looking for better conversion when somebody's making an account, like call that out and then say, okay, this is what the current percentage of people who were making an account. And then when you finish the project, say, okay, now this is the current percentage. Because that was one thing I was missing throughout was what were the things you were trying to solve for, and then what was the data around that, and then when it ended, kind of like, what was the impact of the changes you made.
Okay, yeah, I guess like a show don't tell sort of thing. Like have it more visual telling of stuff, and also I guess the what was the second thing you said?
Yeah, so yeah, simplify the information to call out the most important stuff. And then I guess in general, whenever you're working on a project, there's kind of like these core goals. And so those are usually driven around performance or business metrics. So for example, oh, I'm going to build this feature and we want it to cause people to stay on this page for longer, or tap this more, or discover, like there's so many different nuanced like metrics you could be solving for depending on the use case. So calling that out, and at the very end saying, oh, now like before only 10% of people were able to make their account, now 30% of people are able to, because without that, then you can't really grasp like the result and the impact of the design choices.
Okay, yeah. Right.
But I understand how potentially with this project, that might not have been possible because of the scope and the time frame. So that could just be something that you call out, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. And also, yeah, their Google Analytics data didn't really have that.
Yeah.
Like the conversion rates and stuff like that. So
totally. Well, yeah, it doesn't have to be conversion, I guess, whatever you were trying to solve.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's just an awareness, something too, like maybe in your next project, that's something that you talk with your PMs or whoever, and you align, like, what is that core goal? What is the current data we have around it? And then, you always have that throughout.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think one thing that, unless Tarrea, were you about to say something?
Well, I was just going to plus one on a lot of the stuff that Ruth said, kind of just highlighting the most important information that you want the reader to see, and as well as kind of skimming down, summarizing like your research, since it is a little lengthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are really good points and could help elevate your work. I haven't personally worked on a project where the main goal for me was to highlight my research. That's always been an added component to solving a particular problem. But for you, as you were the lead researcher in here, I'm wondering if there's a way that you can present that information as well, or that research information at the top along with your final solution that you guys worked on as a team, just so we can kind of get a grasp of where you guys ended up. And then as we read through, we can see how you came to those conclusions. For instance, like when you look at the problem statement that you have, and you have it kind of already outlined as to why these are the problems, because Georgia's soccer website had received the complaints for these following bullet points. It might be helpful if you had more time, certainly, to kind of break down these problems to really get at whether or not this was the issue, and why, for instance, users had problems with logging in, and presenting that kind of research that you show with your design solution at the top. I think especially something to keep in mind when you're creating all of these projects is who you're creating it for. And so if you're creating it for a hiring manager, I think it would be really helpful for them, just like what Ruth and Tarrea have said, to simplify things, make it more scannable, maybe add your design solution to the top with your research as well, or your main contributions, and then kind of go through the rest.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of like show them where the end is, and then take them all the way through up to that.
Yeah, I think you did a really great job, and it's a great start. I'm really interested to see where you'll go with your next project. Going back to your portfolio, just homepage, it's great that you have an About Me section. I would love for you to add a photo of yourself if you feel comfortable doing that, or maybe an illustration of yourself. I think that would be really helpful to help shape who I'm talking with if I was interested in, bringing you onto a particular team. So that's just another thing I think to consider.
Okay.
I don't think you always need a photo of yourself. I think it's personal, but I did think when you first from your the landing page, I would maybe put something like a little bit more, I guess, conversational. If you go to the home screen, it just says,
Yeah.
"I'm a UX researcher and a designer with a background in psychology." Maybe it's something like, "Hi, I'm Bobby Bishop, and I love to research and design and it's like something
Okay.
a little bit more like conversational sounding. It just is very
Yeah.
kind of it reads a little bit flat. So bring some personality into it. But yeah, I think that might help.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or you could even kind of leverage with your background in psychology how you apply that to your UX research and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome thing to do. And I do love your dog.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Very cute.
Yeah. He's a very good boy.
Anything else, reviewers?
I think we should move on to the next just for time constraints.
Yeah.
But I really
Awesome.
hope that was helpful, Bobby. It would be great to see some of your new iterations for projects in any of our design feedback channels or portfolio review channels.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back to Jerome.
Yeah, hi there. This is Jerome. I'm a new graduate from University of Texas at Austin, and now I'm seeking for my first full-time job. So my goal for this portfolio review is to get some feedback so that I can get hired. Yeah, and today, I want to hear more feedback on my first project because most of recruiters they focus on the first choose project on your portfolio. So I want to know what's my stress and the weakness of my project and how I could improve my portfolio, my project in different ways. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you Nick, the
First of all-
first one? Yeah. The
Yeah, well,
Uber members? Yeah.
cool. Definitely
cool.
congrats on your recent graduation. That's super exciting. And hopefully you do get hired soon.
Thank you. So I need to present it first, right?
Yes,
We might not have.
go
It
ahead,
would be
Jack.
great.
Okay,
It would be great if we had more time. I'm thinking if we can just look through it ourselves, if you can provide us a bit of a brief context, that would be great because we do have a few portfolios to go through.
Okay. Sure.
I
Yeah.
have a question. Where do I access the chat so I could get links?
Sure, I'll send you links.
If I click outside of here, is it gonna make me leave this video?
No, it should
No.
just be a pop-up.
Wow,
You
life
can
changing.
click on event live chat,
Okay.
and I'll share you.
Oh, incredible.
The pages we'll be going towards. Sure. Okay, so Jairong, if you want to just give us some brief context on this project, that would be great.
I choose this project. It's a personal project. I choose it as my first project on my portfolio because I want to show the recruiter that I have the ability to do the whole size of UX research and UX design. And I'll give you some context of this project. I want to create a new solution for the Uber camper service. So I just brainstormed what kind of interface or what kind of service Uber campers can provide for the campers users. So at first, I give a overview of this project. I list the context of this project and the challenging and the solutions, and then I list all the clickable prototype on the screen so that it could catch the recruiter's eyes as soon as possible. Yeah. And after that, I listed the process and I began my story from a visionary problem to tell the problem campus commuter dilemma. Let's scroll down. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, and here's the problem. And after that, I list my findings based on the user research. So as I understand the users, I listed the 3 points that the user concerns during their they take a couple. And I found 2 types of users. I named them commuter and explorer, and I found the real users tend to switch between them. So this is my target users. I want to create a new solution for these 2 kind of users to get a better user experience on coupling. And then I got my questions my challenges, and I break it down from the task hierarchy so that I list the information architecture. And I decide based on my targeted users, I decided to focus on 2 workflows, is home and my trip. And then I sketched the idea creating a simple storyboards that. And then is the design part. Design part, I began to create the wireframe and prototype. But here I have a questions because I get stuck about how to present my design decision. I don't know whether I need to to display the all design options here, and also my design decision. So I just have one examples here, just one solutions screen wireframe here, how I made this choice. I have design 1, I have design plan 2, but finally I found both of them have some cons and pros. Then I came up from these 2 plan, get my final design screen wireframe like that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Since you were called out that you were looking for feedback right here, the one thing I would say is I think it's definitely awesome to show both designs, and then maybe what I would do is say I put these in front of the users who would be using this, and then this is the feedback they gave me about what is most important to them and why, or which one made more sense, and that's how I came to the conclusion. Because then it grounds the rationale a little bit more in who you're building it for, versus I think sometimes we get caught in our own bias and we think, I think it's important as designers that we call out what we think the pros and cons are, but then we also have to go and validate that with our users.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something that you could even just put in front of your friends or something, and just get their quick feedback and kind of, write that in. That way you can kind of frame it in that way.
Yeah.
You mean a user test, right?
Yeah, but you can kind of do it hacky, I guess, with your friends. I mean, if you wanted to do a full user research test, definitely go that. But yeah, just somehow, something around putting it in front of people, and then what made more sense to them, and then that is how you landed on the final design and why.
Then how should I display this process in my portfolio?
This would be part of the design validation, I guess, which is where you are. So, I mean, that is inherently what design validation is, which is does this solution work for the user who we are building it for? And that comes through iterative research throughout the development process sometimes.
And essentially, this sounds like it's a form of user testing. And from there, it doesn't have to be super formal user testing, but you can take the validations and apply them as like key takeaways, which led you to the final design, how you applied the key takeaways and incorporated it into your final design to better accommodate the user or the users that you're designing for.
Mhm.
That's how I think user testing would be helpful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
certainly everything they just said, I think, is really valuable, especially what Ruth said about grounding your design solution or design decisions in this kind of user testing or research. I think that would be really helpful to see. In terms of putting it on your portfolio or how you present it, I think it could be helpful to just maybe include if you're showing when you're doing the user testing, if you have like a prototype that these users are working with, you could present that and then share some qualitative feedback that they have, as well as some metrics, and then kind of show how the next iteration changed from that feedback. I think that would be a really effective way of communicating that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Also, I want to say I think your presentation, the layout and the illustrations in typography, it looks really great. It's simple, it's clean and exciting. This is really minor, but when I'm scrolling it on my computer, if I like side swipe left and right, it kind of like toggles the screen left and right, which that doesn't feel amazing. So I don't know if that's something, if you coded this yourself, if that there was some way you could fix this section so it doesn't side scroll left and right.
That's a problem. Yeah.
It's like minor, but then it's distracting from like me wanting to get immersed in this experience. So it is important to probably get that fixed so it doesn't move around.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you did an awesome job. I love your sketches. It's really great to see these different visual elements and styles. It just makes it more exciting to scroll through. So I think that's a really great touch. I love Jerry and Hannah, or the 3D models of them. They're very cute, especially those sketches you do. So I think that's really great. One really minor thing, like incredibly minor, where you have my how might we question or problem statement. You might get rid of that.
Questions about how might we, because when I watch the others projects, I found that everyone give a how might we, but when I like generate how might we questions, I don't know how to like identify these questions, how to like how to set my goals and my criteria like that. So I think that's yeah.
You mean why you were having a tough time coming to this question?
Yeah, because I think how might we is like set yourself a goal or a challenge to do this project, right? To do this design, but how to generate these questions? How to generate how might we?
Totally. Yeah, I think when I'm doing how might we's, there's very broad how might we's, and then there's very specific. So broad, this is great because I think this is a very broad one, which is talking about the problem at large. And then you can get really granular, which is like, how might we make it like use color? How might we use, like it can get, you can ask how might we questions for anything. The purpose of it is just a way, anytime you have a question, to frame it in that format so that it kind of opens your brain. You can start like, I guess, it grounds it in a way to iterate with others. I would maybe simplify this by saying, how might we create a campus ride sharing tool with an optimized or simplified, I don't think you need simple and seamless, with a simplified user experience while establishing a deeper bond between the individual and their community.
Yeah.
Sounds better. Yeah.
And I would just get rid of the HMW. I don't think that's necessary, because I don't think you'll need to signify it. You already have it on the back, or the black backdrop. So it already stands out in such a way that it might, if it's a really important thing to read, it comes off that way. And so someone who's maybe more scanning your work will stop to read that.
Okay, wait, I have an even simpler way to say this. How might we create a campus ride-sharing tool with a simplified flow that connects the individual to the community?
I think that just hits on a really good point too throughout your case studies as you work on them. Is just to really work to find the most concise and clear way to communicate your story.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, because even something as nuanced, there's simplified and there's language choice. So like when I think deeper bond, like that, I'm like curious what that means. So I think probably the right way to frame it is, how do we connect the individual and the community? I think that's probably like a more easily like understood, because deeper bond, it just seems a little bit out of context with this. And I think, the whole Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's all about how do we connect people. So I think that probably hits upon, a more universal goal of a lot of apps today.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to like express. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, yeah. No, I think you have the perfect idea. It's just some slight reframing of it.
Sorry, another feedback that someone pointed out is that spelling of individual is wrong. It should be a V instead of a B. So just a heads up.
Yeah, definitely go through your work just to make sure that everything's grammatical. I love that you have the break it down right after your how might we question though. I think that's the right line of thinking there. But overall, I think this is a really cool project. I love the style of it, and I'm excited to see the next iterations. And I hope it helps you get hired sooner rather than later.
I think,
One last thing.
Great work. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. One last thing. I would love to see, I don't know, Ruth or Tarrea, how you feel about it, but I would love to see maybe a little more about you. So maybe if you add an about section, it could just be like maybe 3 sentences. I know you have this blurb at the top of your portfolio, but I think that could be helpful to maybe make that more personal connection.
Totally. I didn't notice that. But yeah, usually it's pretty common to have like where you have the dribble link, I would think that would be your about link. And then usually something like a dribble is more like a secondary, like social icon. It's not usually like the word dribble. It's more like it's just a social media footer link or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, I think having like an about me page definitely goes a long way for the recruiter. Kind of has a better idea of like who you are and if you're a good fit for what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck in your job hunt.
Okay.
Okay, maybe next if we go with Carla. I think Carla's here as well.
Yep, they put their description here. So they are looking for a UX design internship. They haven't had any other eyes on it, so they need a fresh perspective. So their questions are: do the case studies look balanced between information and graphics? Should I keep working on another passion project or improve the ones that I have? Any suggestions would be great. Yeah.
One thing that just stands out to me immediately, and I'd love to hear Ruth and Tarrea your opinion on it as well. Just on the homepage where under your blurb you say, "I'm currently seeking full-time UX design opportunities." I'm not sure if you even need to include that. I think that will be a given if you're applying to certain places. So I would just omit that.
I usually hide it in my about.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's I don't you want to just, make it about you, and then like Jack said, it's kind of inherent that you're looking for an opportunity. Or it's yeah. So I agree, you probably don't need that.
Maybe we can start by checking out your about page.
Let's do it. This is perfect, by the way. For the other people who are here, this is like what we were talking about of like work, about, and then contact your resume. And then
And then if you scroll down a little bit, it actually has those social links as
perfect,
well.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was talking about before with like the Dribble and the Behance and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think this About Me page is pretty straightforward, but I'm still getting a good idea of who Carla is and what they're passionate about.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to add a ton of information here. I personally think this is a great amount. I might even myself add less, but I think that's perfect. It's also nice to see you put a face to the work.
Totally.
Is there any particular? Go ahead.
I would like just after that it goes about me, it goes, "There's one thing I've known about myself. I love the idea of working in a creative field that can make people's lives better." And then maybe you put a new paragraph after that. That way each section has like a little bit of its own. So the first one's like your mission statement, your second one is like, "This is my education," your third one is like, "These are my values," and then your fourth one is kind of like your conclusion.
Yeah, totally. Tarrea, is there any case study you'd like to pick to start?
Yeah, I was just looking through, I guess the most recent one, Guidist. Let's see.
Your website is stunning, by the way. It's actually interesting because now that I've clicked this, it's like more grounded in like a design process and project. From the just initial website view, and this is maybe not a bad thing, but it almost reads more like 2 graphic design projects and 1 product design project, because your thumbnail images for the first and the third one are very like poster, even though I obviously know it's now tied to this, but as like somebody quick glancing, it looks like a graphic design project.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And I wonder if, since you're kind of focused on UX design, maybe like the cover images for your projects, maybe they could be the prototypes of the screens, just so that it's less leaning towards like graphic design or visual design.
Yeah, I totally agree with that sentiment too. I do love that illustration, and if that's something you did as well, perhaps you could put that on a screen for one of your prototypes that you include on your your hero image there. It might also be helpful, especially since those project cards on your homepage are so large, that you kind of have to scroll down quite a bit to see. You say Guidist UX design for website, but I can just click on it before even seeing that. Maybe if those could be a little bit smaller, those cards, or if it would raise that information a little higher.
Totally.
And if you could, I mean, that might be enough just saying UX design for website, but maybe a little bit more information, not too much, because you want to keep it really concise there.
So yeah, I think what you can do is you have a lot of white space. There's also the concept of both in web and mobile. It's called above the fold. And so anything that's not here on first read is potentially just never going to be seen. So maybe what you can do is bump up your bio. There's like a lot of white space there. Maybe you don't need the case studies header. You can get rid of all that like space there, and you just bump up the projects, because we already know that we're on your work tab. And also it's interesting because I've been seeing, I think, this on a few different portfolios where it's being framed as case studies instead of work. And I think, if you want to present yourself like if you present them a case study, I mean, I know that they are case studies, but then you're almost framing it like, oh, this is like my practice thing, which I know what it is, but kind of fake it till you make it. So just call it your work.
I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going into the project, it's great that you have your overview, background, process, your problem statement so high. Again, I would love to see the final solution up here. I think seeing the problem statement next to the final solution can be really helpful, because it's kind of like it's like you see the start and then you get to the finish. It's like a little sneak peek, and then we can build from the research and go through and see how you got to that solution and how you got to that problem in particular.
I would maybe do like, I feel like when I'm scrolling down here, the goal of the project feels a little bit like too late. I'm just like wondering like where that feels like it should be a little bit sooner. Like problem statement and then like goal or something.
Yeah, I totally agree. Where I must be scrolling past it. Oh yeah, I see goal now.
Yeah, I wonder, maybe it's like there's a section that says definition. I'm not sure. That kind of like breaks it up, because I think it should be like the research and then the goal of the project, the target.
Yeah, as I was scrolling through it, trying to find the goal, and this was relevant to some of my case studies, and a mentor pointed this out to me, and I thought it was really helpful. You do break up your sections with these larger headings, and then you have subheadings. But maybe if you experiment with some color to really signify when you're in a new section, that could be helpful, or using color as a backdrop. Just different ways to kind of explore separating your sections so we know we've moved on from maybe research or definition to the next one.
Actually, I have a thought. Can you scroll up to the very top where it says process? So like, yeah, one thing I'm like thinking as we're scrolling through this is we're like getting your process in a disjointed way because we are like scrolling and I'm not going to exactly remember what came after the other. And this is something that's been consistent. And I guess all the stuff we've looked at is, I think, giving a very high level data viz of like, this is my product design process. Like that's what every team cares about when you talk to them. Like first I start by like defining the problem, and then I start by like research, like, and just like you kind of, if you scroll underneath like a little bit later, have like these kind of like diagrams. Like can you do that same kind of like what you kind of have for like the donor even like section where it's like, here's the thing, and then the next thing, like have that kind of visualization, but at a high level of like what was the steps you took. So if I were to like scroll top to bottom, you have like problem statement, then research, definition, ideation, but like just having that very high level process in a quick to digest way, I think is very useful.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that with right now where it says I think with the step-by-step design sprint, all of that could go with the overview instead. And then with the process, you could explain like your overall design process instead. So then the reader has like a better idea of how you lay out your process pretty much.
Yeah, and I was just going to say really quickly that you could, even for just bringing your final solution up towards the top, you could just take this prototype that you have at the bottom and place that there. And that could be helpful.
Yeah.
It's great to see your lo-fi work and how that, kind of translates into this hi-fi. I feel as though maybe there might be a step missing between your lo-fi paper wireframes and then your hi-fi work. So if you could bridge the gap there without adding a huge section, because I think the amount of information you have here is pretty good. That could also be helpful in telling the story of your work here.
I have a question. Is there an actual clickable prototype here, or is it just a screenshot?
There's a video at the bottom that you can play, but it's not a clickable prototype.
Got it. Okay. Because I guess I would just expect if you have like prototype for me to be able to like engage with a prototype here. So maybe you want to put that video in the prototype section, because that seems like where it makes the most sense to go if that's part of the prototype. But if it's just an overview of the project, then maybe it's something separate.
It's a part of the prototype section.
Yeah, I think you could just swap it with that that visual then, and that's like probably a more impactful piece of content.
I do love that you have your key learnings at the end, and you make them really personal as well. Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading through them right now. Yeah, it might be helpful. I do like that you've made them so personal to your growth as a designer here. It would be great, I think, to have maybe one more point about something more high level that you learned outside of maybe like relating it back to your perception of the project before and post. I think that could be helpful on a higher level with something a hiring manager might be more interested in reading. Yeah, this looks great.
If you did all these illustrations, I just want to say that you are an incredible graphic designer. I think they're so like fresh. I love them.
They do feel so fresh. They feel fresh and familiar at the same time. There's that kind of style that's prevalent, but they do feel really unique. I love the color choice you use as well.
Yeah, they're very fluid looking.
Yeah, I think you have a really good like grounding kind of like branding, which is very important as it relates to product design, but also just, I'm looking at your other projects, like your graphic design is rock solid. So yeah, great work.
Carla asked if she could use her Figma prototype in that case study.
I'm pretty sure you can, right? You can just link up, have an always public prototype. I don't know how that works for like embedding it in a website, but you might be able to do that.
Yeah, I think you totally can. I think for this project, it would work well. If you ever have a project that's really complex with a bunch of different interactions that maybe you haven't prototyped all those together in a way for, some user to follow down a specific thread, it might be helpful to have several smaller interactions or several smaller prototypes that take you through a particular flow. Just something to keep in mind. And then one final note, I think on the top of your work, where you have these sections of overview, background, process, problem statement, research, but problem statement, and then goals, I think should be up there as well. It takes up a lot of scroll space. And I think it would be interesting to explore other ways of presenting that information so it's just all readily available. For instance, in your second case study, I think I prefer the way you set that overview up with your problem statement and goal right at the top there, as well as some background on the project.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
maybe follow a similar template or style there.
The one thing I noticed that's lacking from this case study is that there's not really much description for each section, like the user flows. You don't really go into detail about what influenced these user flows or how you came up with the ideation sketches. It's kind of just images, and there's not really much background for any of the sections. But the visuals are very nice.
Yeah, the visuals are beautiful.
Yeah, I would just love
And you
to
did
know.
a good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just love to know how you came up with these visuals and that kind of stuff.
I thought that was a really unique. I've actually never seen for architecture it done this way. It's a very subtle thing, just adding the hint of color that's kind of offset. Usually it's just a filled in block, but I do like that style, and I think it fits with your overall artistic or design sense. So that was really cool to see as well. Just that little thing. I also am really hyped to see just really, in some portfolios I've seen, there are some blurry graphics added. So it's great to see everything seems pretty fresh or high fidelity.
Yeah, agreed.
On that note, we've already gone to 6:03. That's crazy. I believe that's all the time that we have. Do you have any other questions, Carla, before we end our session with your portfolio?
I would work more on the ones you have. I think when I'm interviewing people, we give them like 40 minutes to talk, and they usually take 30 minutes for one project. So it's way more impactful to have one that goes super in depth than 3 that you gloss over. So I would say go deep with what you have.
Right. Yeah, maybe focus in on one and kind of go into detail, and that would be the one that you would present to while in a job interview.
That's some great advice. I hope you all are writing this down from Tarrea and Ruth, master designers in their own right.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy I could be here today. This is my first time doing this, so very exciting. And just know, for all you guys who are kind of, building your portfolios and thinking about what's next, that everything works out. Like I'm like 2 years into my job, and I graduated 3 years ago. And I often think, like, I would never believe that I would be where I am today. So it's just, you gotta be patient and know that everything's gonna turn out for the best.
Yeah, and it takes time, but patience, it's worth it.
And I think everyone
Awesome.
here is doing so amazing by being here. I had no idea there was like communities like this where you could like get feedback. So just know that by being here, you're already ahead of the curve.
Thank you so
Awesome,
much
awesome.
for those inspiring words.
It really
Yeah.
is so cool to see everyone here, and I hope it has been helpful in some capacity for your own portfolios. There's always something to learn. I was definitely reminded to be more cognizant of grounding my work in metrics, and also be wary of having those kind of key indicators of measuring performance. I think that's something that's really important to have. So it's been helpful for me too, and it's been really awesome to see all of y'all's work.
So if anyone wants to check out the portfolios, they're in chat somewhere. Yeah, so before we wrap up this event, I just want to say thank you again to all of our reviewers for taking some time off and being a part of our session today. I also want to thank everyone who submitted their portfolios. If you want to see more of these events, again, make sure that you follow us in all social media platforms. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a good night, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are.
True, global community. And we might be, Grace, do we have a focus hours tonight?
Yes, join us for full focus hours tonight in about 1 hour or so. I'm also hosting a room on Clubhouse about how to negotiate your salary, which will be taking place a little bit before full focus hours. So the information is about in the events channel. It's not affiliated with Design Buddies though, but you are welcome to join. And we also have our first game night coming up on Saturday, hosted by Yashar. We're going to play Jackbox Party. And we also have an event with ADP List on Thursday. So going a little backwards a little bit about working at a small company versus large company to help you kind of determine which one's the best for you. But wait, there's more. Just like the Billy Mays, like the band Mayonnaise, or I can't remember. But wait, there's more. Exactly. We have so many more events coming up. One exciting event is that we'll have Femke she's like a really popular design YouTuber coming up to do a talk about design side projects with us on May 20 something. I have to take a look, but it will be up on our announcements next week as well. And we also have an events page on our website coming up soon as well. There's always more for Design Buddies. And we will never stop pumping out free goodies for all of you buddies here. And thank you all for supporting our community, posting about us on social media. Our goal really with all these smaller group events is to help you guys feel more comfortable talking in the large community, because I know it can be kind of scary looking at the number. So any suggestions to make Design Buddies feel smaller so all of y'all feel more comfortable participating would be amazing.
Yeah,
yes, we actually do have a Google Calendar you guys can subscribe to. We posted several times, but we'll share it again. Yes, we do actually. By our admin Jess, so I can share it in the chat too. Yeah, no worries. Like there's like so many things going on, so it's all good. But
yeah,
all our events is also on Luma.
Yes, check out Luma for sure. And it would be great to see some of you that are here, if you were inspired by any of what you heard today or ready to start iterating on your portfolios, to join us tonight for our work session. And you can just join our voice chat channel, which you can find below. And that I think is at above, sorry. above. Yeah, we moved things around recently, so I'm still getting used to it. Yeah, right above VC, that you can see work, study, chill. We'll all be in there working together. It would be great to see you all in there.
Throughout the day, if you can't make it tonight, you can always, at any time of the day, you can ping at work study. This is for buddies who consented to be pinged to summon buddies into work study with you. So that's another underutilized resource I want throughout. I've been seeing a lot of buddies in there recently, so definitely hop in and join. It's not awkward. We're all here. We're all wholesome. If anyone's not wholesome, DM Modmail, send screenshots, and we'll ban them because we only tolerate wholesomeness here. So yeah.
That sounds so threatening.
No.
We're threatening wholesome. It's a vibe.
We want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, and if anybody makes you feel uncomfortable, definitely bring them up to the admin's end with evidence. We will swing our ban hammer.
And on that note, thank you, reviewers, Ruth and Tarrea, for being part of this today. That was really great. You guys shared some really valuable insights. Hopefully we can all do it again sometime soon.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you all for taking your time to help review our buddies' portfolios.
course.
All right, everyone. On that note, I'm going to sign off. So bye-bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.